Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope you all are doing well. I just did an introduction where I said, hello and welcome to the sun. It's just, welcome to the sun. It's hot here. Don't stare too long. No, hope y'all are doing well. It's been a good week, actually. It's been a really good week. It went by really fast. I feel like I'm just a broken record now. Has time been speeding up for anyone else except for me? I mean, when I do planks, time slows down for sure, but every other time it's just like it's going really fast, so I can't really keep up with it. It seems like it's just a lot happening, days full of activities, of projects and things like that. So it's been all productive, and I've loved it. And if you can't tell by my voice, I'm standing up right now. You can't really tell from the voice how people are positioned, but standing up right now, I leveled my desk to be a little bit higher, where it's like it maximizes the space in the room, where it's more like on the wall, like coming out of the wall. So it's kind of like a desktop. So I have to get a bench, or not a bench, a bar stool or something like that to match the level, and if I want to sit down. But right now I'm standing up. It's not too bad. I mean, I feel like it's definitely a little different because usually I'm sitting down, but I like it. It's like sometimes you like to work standing up, so that's what that is. So I've uh I've been in a lot of thought lately. I mean, it's been kind of crazy, and I feel like I've been starting off with either Netflix or my personal thoughts recently about things. But I've been thinking a lot about just like the duality of life, and just like how there's light and dark, in and out, salt and pepper. I'm not sure if that's really a duality, but you get the idea. There's like this duality that kind of exists in life, and in this universe that we live in, and it seems so strange, but it applies to so many different aspects of our lives. And when we think about duality in like an existential place, you're just like, wow, it's like really big. But as we kind of like break it down to the day-to-day lives that we live, we start to see that like this duality is so much more than just like light and dark, and cold and hot. It's the expression of different ideas and thoughts, and how there is this kind of duality in even the ideas that we have. So the things that we believe morally, the things that we believe intrinsically, I think that there is also a duality in that exists within our lives. And I think that like gives me just so much more perspective. And I think I was thinking about this because I was kind of thinking about this podcast, and just the ideas and just the history of this podcast, and how originally I didn't want to express too many of my thoughts in there, because I knew of this duality. I knew that I expressed something, and there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction to it. There's going to be an equal and opposite position towards that idea. And it made me, I guess, not necessarily like, it made me not want to present to be on either side of any kind of position. And I guess I still try to do that in certain ways, just to not seem like I'm imposing my thoughts in a certain way. But I think this gives so much value in just how we interact with each other, how we interact with just others, as we think about what we believe in life and what we feel we understand in life. Because all the things that we feel we understand, all the things that we believe, we can't exactly, I mean, you can believe whatever you want, you can feel whatever you want, and it's encouraged for you to do that. Like, be your own person. But the moment that we try to take that outside of ourselves, and present those ideas to other people, and try to make them believe that idea or that thought, or kind of agree with you in that way, I think that's kind of where the fault is. It's amazing to express ideas, and that's the kind of whole premise of this podcast, is to speak about these different topics, and speak to it with other people, because it gives us so much value in hearing other people's positions. Because there are some subjects and some topics where we're like, we didn't realize that we held that position, or we didn't realize that there were other people that held opposite positions. So those conversations are so unique and so important to have, but we kind of do ourselves a disservice if we try to make it be that like our idea is right, and that we have to get other people to side with us, because then we're just going to be hitting a brick wall, and have a lot of disappointment as we come across this reality that there is a duality. And that like, I don't know, I guess like there is a huge, you know I feel like this can be a topic in itself, a duality of life. And maybe it will be at some point, correspondences and things like that. There's so many different things. I mean, I feel like there's a huge future in this podcast, just in the terms of the topics that can be expressed, not necessarily the amount of people that will come in. But you know, there's a huge history. I see you going places, kid. No, no, but this podcast is I think it just like it allows me to have these conversations. If I wasn't thinking about this episode, I'm not sure. I probably would be thinking about duality of life, but I don't know if I would have thought about it in that very moment and put it particularly towards the ideas that I have. So that's just like the thoughts that I've been having in the past few days, and it's just been, like I'm always thinking about random things. So this is going to be probably a common occurrence, you just hearing about the things that I'm thinking about. But I guess think about this yourself, and I think that a lot of times we notice these things, but maybe don't have the words to express it, or the ways to put that idea into like a tangible thing. And I mean, even though words aren't necessarily tangible, they're a little bit more tangible or refined than just like the feelings and things that are just ambiguous within us. So I love being able to have these conversations, and I think there can be so much that can be had from just speaking to people and having those things. So duality of life, that's a big thing, and it's probably going to be a topic at some point. But anyway, I think that I want to make these podcasts shorter, and I said that, and I think I did one episode where I stuck true to that, and then after that it was just back to 40-minute episodes. So I'm gonna try to get to the point here, and that point is this box because I almost went to the topic box for the next week's topic, and we're gonna shake that up and see what we kind of pull out of here. Please send those in at everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com or at any of the social media pages that I will link at the end of this. And yeah, I mean, no idea is a dumb idea, just like no question is a stupid question. Herbal remedies is going to be the topic for next week. And I think this is going to be really interesting, just because there are a lot of things that I've been looking more into, like just certain herbs and things like that, herbs and flowers and barks from certain trees. There's a story that I heard, like it's always going to stick with me. I went to Costa Rica back in 2011, and there was this guy. He lived in an indigenous village, just the Bribri people. If you have you ever been, or if you know of the indigenous people there, but the Bribri people, they were teaching us their language, their culture, and we helped them to rebuild this kitchen because they had this huge fire that burned their only kitchen that they had. And like, this is a village where, again, like they only go to town to they they only go to town to get like rice, like big 50-pound bags of rice, but then that's about it. Everything else they grow themselves, like they get from the forest. They're very self-sufficient. And unfortunately, being indigenous people, in most places they've been kind of pushed to the outskirts of their land, and are reserved to what they have around them. And anyway, these I'm going to try to make this quick, but this guy, he was diagnosed with cancer. He wasn't feeling well, and he left out of his village to go to an actual doctor. And the doctor was saying, okay, you are in very late stages of cancer. I forgot what cancer it was, but you're in very late stages of cancer, and essentially just like start getting things together for like end of life things. They were saying like like you're kind of too far along. So he was like, I'm not going to die in a hospital bed. I'm going to die in my village where I grew up. And he's like 70 something years old at this point. And he goes back to his village, and he gets on this like herbal remedy of like this root from this flower and this like bark from some kind of tree. And he like mashed it along with like obviously like water and other things, and like created this kind of like herbal thing, like herbal tincture thing that he was like taking every day. And like 3 years had passed or something like that, and he was healthy. He was still alive, obviously, because they gave him like a few months to live. He was still alive. And he attributed it obviously to like the things that he was doing for himself. And he went back into the town just to like get a checkup, and his cancer was gone. They were saying that it must have been a mistake or something like that, but his cancer was completely gone. So herbal remedies, that's going to be a topic for next week. And I think there's so much power that's in just like different medicines that may be not as typical as the ones that we think about when we think about big pharma and pharmaceuticals. So that's going to be an interesting topic, herbal remedies, again, for that. So today is going to be about hobbies. And it's I was unsure about where I was going to go with this because again, like I say no topic is a bad topic and then I think about someone sending in a topic about pencils or something and I mean I can definitely go on like a deep conversation about just like pencils and the creation of pencils and everything that came about because of that. And there's a spider on my wall. I'm just going to keep watching it because I can't go away from the microphone right now. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, I can go for a while just like speaking about pencils if I really needed to. But I mean, no topic is really a bad topic, but I never really know where I'm going to go with each of these topics. And when I like started thinking about hobbies, I felt like there was definitely something like deeper there, but I didn't know exactly where to go. And I've been very I think it's just very interesting for many ways. And I guess I'll start off by just speaking about just like I guess my history with hobbies. Like I said, I didn't really have any hobbies, and or at least what I believed to be hobbies, and that was just like I was like, yeah, I like hanging out with friends, I like listening to music and things like that, and I never, and I always felt like I was missing out on something when like people had, different sports that they played or different, skills like art or photography or these different things that they just like did, and I'm like, well shit, like if my friends aren't doing anything then I might just like watch TV or something, and it's like it was kind of just this weird thing where I've always just noticed it in my life, and I never really had any hobbies that I thought were truly mine. But I think they definitely speak to us in a lot of different ways when we do embark on those different hobbies. And one thing for me, I guess, like, and this is kind of like jumping the script a little bit, is that I've never taken like social media very seriously. Like my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, I go on there and it's like I say things that are just things that are just like random. They're kind of more humorous on that side because like I guess I just don't take it that seriously. Not necessarily in my Facebook group, but more just the post. I see there's so much negativity that's out there. So oh, the spider's on the move. Fuck. Okay. Jeez. So there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of negativity that's out there, and I feel like what better way to make someone smile than sending puppies or jokes, so I like to just like put random things that are on my mind. Maybe other people find it funny, or maybe it just helps me to laugh, and either way that's a win. So I kind of post. I don't take it really seriously, and the same thing with like most social media. It's kind of like I see it as just being like an avenue for something else, or kind of just like an outlet for something else in some kind of way. And the only one I kind of do take a little bit seriously is Instagram, and that's because like I found that I really enjoy the fact that people put their hobbies out there. That's like a platform where people express themselves in a certain way. Hold on one second, the spider is going too far. All right, y'all. I just saved a spider. I've been it's I've been trying to be like less cruel as a person. I'm not like a cruel person at all, but I do like to I've just been like, yeah, just trying to be a little bit more conscientious. Like a small insect is probably just afraid of like a giant ass human. Like, have you imagined being an insect and like they're just big ass human things that are just like, I can smash you with my finger type of thing. I'm sure they're not like constantly thinking about that. They're not like doing community meetings about like these huge fucking giants that are posing a problem to their society. But, they're obviously like more afraid of us than we are of them, even though our fear can be heightened sometimes. But so I've been like, let me try to get you out of here instead of killing you. But sometimes it's definitely a testable because there's some big ass fucking spiders out here in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm not back in Virginia. There were like daddy long legs and things like that, and I used to like catch those when I was younger because I was I did shit like that. And but no, like the spiders out here, they're just like they're spiders that probably shouldn't even exist. I'm just like, dude, like why? But so yeah, it's been a test of my strength to get like a tiny little shot glass size of glass to scoop a big ass spider inside of it. But that's neither here nor there. But back to this about hobbies. Instagram. I think I was speaking about Instagram. I love Instagram. It's an expression of people's hobbies and interests and things like that. And I love seeing that pages that are like dedicated to that. And I also found some kind of like struggle with that in promoting the podcast specifically because they were saying Instagram you should like get a certain like niche, certain like thing that you're about, and like post that, just post that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, fuck, like I'm more than just, street art, and I'm more than just, beautiful landscapes and things like that. It's like I'm a fucking dynamic person. I'm a human being, just like all of us are human beings. So I think I spoke about this some in the social media episode, just about how we kind of have to refine ourselves to a specific niche to like be relevant in any kind of situation. I'm like, kind of we're humans. We should be able to express ourselves the way we want to. So I like Instagram because of that reason, where I guess people, even though you do find a little niche, like there are people that are still expressing themselves, their interests, their hobbies, their the things that they create, the things that they find meaning in, the things that they find passionate. They spend hours kind of just delved into this work that they're creating it, and they display it for the world. And I think it's really amazing. And sometimes it's like it's really hard to see from a picture just the amount of work and time and effort and energy that goes into the things that people create just for fun, like without even the incentive of pay, which is kind of just like really really crazy. And I thought about like obviously like what hobbies were, because like we know them as like the things that we do every now and then, but I wanted to go to Google obviously and get the actual definition of this, and this reframed my idea on what I thought hobbies were, like just as far as like what I define hobbies to be. And the definition from Google is an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. And again, that's an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. And when I thought about that, I was like, hanging out with friends and listening to music, those are hobbies. Like, those are definitely hobbies. And I was definitely getting down on myself because I didn't have any hobbies all this time in my life. And, that is a hobby, like it's something that I'm doing regularly and it's for pleasure. And it's like in my leisure time. And there are a few things with that, just like this idea of like leisure time and the things that we do in our leisure time that are meaningful for us. And they can be things that like, construction and like carpentry, and, things that take a lot of time and effort and energy, things that people with jobs, like normally do, put time and effort and energy, except this is something that you enjoy doing. It's something that you love doing. It's something that you feel that you're at home when you're doing it. And I think that's something that's so amazing about hobbies. And it's so unfortunate that like we have to separate leisure from leisure time with these activities that can bring out the best of us, the biggest strengths that we have. These have to be set aside and cast away to this leisure time. And hell, in our society, how many times do we get leisure time? It's in the evening time, like, but what, you're gonna cut out your dinner, or like not make food, or not like get your downtime because like you want to do like this thing that it's like we start pushing out so many different aspects of ourselves because of these things outside of ourselves. And it makes it so unfortunate when it's like when it's things like that we're passionate about, things that we feel so moved towards doing. And it's amazing when people have hobbies that they create into occupations, because that's like the most ideal situation. And I think it's so unfortunate again that like we can't do the things that play towards our strengths, that play towards the things that are most meaningful to us, because they don't pay well. Maybe they aren't as profitable to live in the society with that type of thing. And that's why there's so many people that have gotten degrees in different things and don't use them, because it's like, like it's not necessarily the most practical move to use the degree that they spent so much money getting. And it's because again of the society that we live in. People can't, you know, go to school for the things that they are finding pleasing and that be like their only consideration. They have to also consider how much money they're going to make in this. And this is something like, again, I think I spoke to y'all about, like my psychology professor that had told me. He said you will not make significant amount of money in psychology unless you either open a very successful, very successful private practice, which again, like, it had to be extremely successful because you have to pay for all these other things. You're paying for your own vacation, you're paying for, your office space, you're paying for all that different stuff. So it really has to be very well for you to turn over a significant profit. But he said, like, if you want to really make money in psychology, you go into advertising. He said that advertising pays so much to psychologists because it's about, you know, understanding people, understanding the ways that it's going to impact them, the ways that it's going to influence them, the way that's going to entice them to get a certain thing. So it's like when we're confronted with the fact that maybe the job that we're going to go for, the thing that we're passionate about, isn't going to make us the most money, then like then we have to start really putting that into consideration. So many people do, to the point that they push aside these things that are so meaningful for them. So that's something that I think is just so unfortunate about the society that we live in. And it's like it does questions like, why does this have to be secluded to our leisure time, and what does this say about the nature of who we are as people? Because I think that if truly the things that make us happy are these things that are very creative, very hands-on, very like unique to who we are, like like very specific to who we are. And again, like these things aren't necessarily just like chilling by a beach. Like these leisure activities can be constructing amazing things and creating a beautiful piece of art, or just inventing amazing things. So it's like it speaks to a deeper part of us, and I think that we don't get a chance to express that or to indulge in that so much. And it's because, again, these social obligations that we have, these obligations that we have outside of us, that we start giving up, again, these things that are so meaningful for us. We have no time, we have no energy because we're so tired, we're overworked, we're overstressed, and these are all the things that keep us from doing these things that are pleasing and meaningful for us. And it's so unfortunate when we have to decide between making money and being happy, or making money and having some time to get back to yourself. I remember I was having a conversation with my mom where she, I guess, like, her sister, my aunt, had found a notebook, or had asked her a conversation, or asked her about, she was like, yeah, you used to write all the time, do you still do that? And my mom had completely forgot that she used to write like poetry and like songs and things like that. And it was a surprise to me because I, like, all my life I hadn't known that. And I didn't find that out until I was like 25, 26 years old. And so like this was just like not too many years ago that I found this out. And this was a big part of my mom. So it's like we all end up starting to slowly lose hobbies and interests that we have because of just things around us. And it's important to feed into like the things that are meaningful for us, because that's where we start to understand ourselves more. That's where we start to see our strengths more. Like I was saying, like I felt bad like I didn't have many hobbies growing up, but recently I've been like starting to get into more hobbies. Like animation is one thing, carpentry, like construction and renovating. That's been a big thing for me. Just like I love working with my hands, and I'm realizing that I love doing things like that and creating things like that. And I like working on my car as well. Like it's been something that's just been like really just eye opening to realize that not only can I do this, but I have the strength to do this. I have the knowledge to do this. I have, you know, what I thought was well beyond my range of expertise or range of ability to do. I realize that I'm able to do it. And I think that when we start exploring our hobbies, when we start, pushing those boundaries and challenging ourselves in those different ways, and putting ourselves in those positions where you're like, I've always wanted to do this, but I'm not really sure because, obviously I'm not going to make any money from it, or, all these different things that kind of keep us from exploring those. But those are the things that can bring so much out of us, bring so much understanding of who we are, and the things that are meaningful for us, the things that we're able to do. And we don't know that until we try. We don't know that until we get the chance to express that. So I guess what I'm trying to get at with this whole thing is that it can be this idea of hobbies is something so much bigger than just hobbies. It's like it's it's who we are. It's part of who we are. These interests and things that we start moving towards, it's part of who we are. So as we start losing these hobbies and stop indulging in these interests that we have, we're also losing parts of ourselves, and parts of ourselves that had those interests and things like that, and they're being stifled away. And it's stifling part of us away, and we feel more and more enclosed. We feel more and more kind of just stagnant. We feel more and more like we're just kind of going, with the motions, rather than actually living our lives to the fullest. So what I'm saying here is like, start moving towards the things that are meaningful for you. And if you have a lot of work on your plate, and you're, this is not the best time. If you're, a lot of people want work right now. A lot of people want to have more hours because it's such a crazy situation, such a crazy economy right now. But when we start losing pieces of ourselves and don't even realize it, and I think that's the biggest thing, because we don't realize it when it's happening. We have to remind ourselves. But when we start losing those pieces of ourselves, we start losing like that light, that spark, that's that interest that's in life, and we're just, waking up, going to work, coming back home, eating dinner, going to bed, and just like we start going into these motions. And it's it's because we're not going towards these things that maybe are fantasies that we're having of, doing something else, doing something more. And it doesn't have to be dramatic, It's like, again, if you have a lot of work, you have to pay those bills. You have to feed your family and do those things that are very important for you. But think about those things. Just think about the things that are interesting to you, because a lot of times we don't even get the time to think about those things that bring us joy, the things that may be a new venture for us. We don't even think about them because, again, we don't have time, or we feel as though this is just a fantasy. I should stop thinking about this because there are things right in front of me. And it may be very true that there are things right in front of you, but it's not true that that's not important. Because if it's part of you, if it's coming from you, if it's like, I think I might want to do this, I think this might be an interest of mine, but I'm not really sure, that want, that excitement, that drive, or interest in that in the first place is coming from you. So listen to that, because it's part of you speaking to you. So listen to that and give it some consideration. Give yourself some consideration when you're thinking about your thoughts and moving in your life. And think about some of the things that maybe you started to push away from when you were younger. Maybe you like to doodle and draw, and it doesn't have to be even be that good. Maybe you like to make music. Open up some app and get something on your phone where maybe on your break you can kind of just tinker around and explore some things. But move towards the things that make you feel good. Move towards the things that you love, because that's going to give you so much knowledge about yourself and give you so much more joy in your experiences, because you're doing the things that bring you joy. So it's not coming from anyone else. It's not coming from some kind of book that's saying like this is self-help or anything like that. This is coming from you. It's coming from the passions that you have, the things that drive you, the things that are meaningful for you, the things that warm your heart, the things that you can stick to and keep doing for hours and hours and not realize that hours had passed. So move towards those things and find your strengths, find your passions, and refine yourself, because that's what this is all about. That's what this journey is all about: finding ourselves, finding our strengths, and the things that mean the most to us. So yeah, I think that's all. I was very, I mean, this idea of hobbies, it's something so much bigger than what we think about. And I was having a conversation with someone just about how some of these topics can seem like very just, it's like what kind of thing is this? But anything that is consistently perpetuating our lives, anything that we constantly do, it's part of us in some significant way. So we have to talk about that. Hobbies, it's something that we all know. It's in different languages, like the idea of hobbies. So this is something so significant. Why do people do it? Why do we have them? And what does it say about us on a deeper level? And that's what this is really saying. It's like there's so many different topics, and a lot of them may seem irrelevant, but they are so pervasive in our lives that they can't be irrelevant. They just can't be irrelevant. It's like saying air is irrelevant or water is irrelevant. It's like there's significance to so many things. So it's about what that significance is, and how do we translate it into like this part of ourselves, because we're influenced by it all. So yeah, I feel like that was still a little bit longer of an episode than what I originally was expecting. But at oh, no, I'm actually within 30 minutes. So that's, wow, look at me. I'm doing great things, and I let a spider out. I saved a life. Oh jeez. Anyway, hope you all enjoy this episode. I'd love to hear any of your topics that you have, or any of your hobbies that you may have that you do. Or I love different hobbies. Again, that's why I love Instagram. I'll just add different people and I think there's a big thing with Instagram that people normally add other people that have similar interests, which is kind of strange, but also like it makes sense because you want to connect with people with similar interests. But also I feel like you also want to expand your art and like get to those people that may just be interested at looking like me, where like people have tattoos and things like that. I don't have any tattoos on my body, but it's always fascinated me. I've always loved seeing people's tattoos and their works of art, and I think that's what's made it so hard for me to get a tattoo, because I'm like, what the fuck would I put on my body? Like, what would I do? Like, I keep seeing all these different ideas, and when I see someone that has like something that's similar to someone else's, and then I see someone that has something just completely unique, and it's just like it's so much diversity. So it kind of just leaves me at a stalemate. But I love seeing different like works of art, seeing different people that create music and things like that. It's just like it's so many different interests and hobbies. But yeah, so send those hobbies in. I'm not really sure where I was going with that, but the point is send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com if you want to send those in, or any thoughts or ideas about anything that's been spoken about. If you want to join the Instagram page, you can do that at everything.sunpodcast. I still get kind of messy about that because it's a little weird, but Instagram at everything.sunpodcast, or you can join the Twitter page at everysunpodcast. And yeah, that's going to be all. Rate, review, subscribe, share with friends, have conversation with friends, and that's all I got. Love you all, and I'll see you next time.